Islam Makhachev. The final boss of UFC, the truth fighters are finally admitting. UFC fighters have been pulling back the curtain lately, and some of the things they've said reveal just how terrifying Islam Makhachev really is inside that octagon. For years, Islam was brushed aside. Fans and even fighters dismissed him as nothing more than an overrated Khabib wannabe, a guy who fought nobodies, collected easy wins, and rode on the coattails of his best friend, Khabib Nurmagomedov. The narrative was set. He hasn't fought the best, so he can't be the best. But then, everything changed. Makhachev didn't just prove his worth, he bulldozed it into the history books. First, he absolutely smashed Charles Oliveira, the man who holds the record for most submission wins in UFC history. And then he went after Alex Volkanovski, the pound-for-pound king at the time, and beat him too. Just like that, Islam Makhachev wasn't the Khabib's friend anymore. He was the pound-for-pound king himself. And yet, even after doing all that, there are still some out there who dare to doubt him. As Daniel Cormier likes to say, there are levels to this game, and Islam Makhachev currently sits at the final boss level. Right now, Islam Makhachev isn't just a level above everyone else. He's at what Cormier calls the final boss level, according to greatest fighter. Everybody knows the story. Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev grew up training together in Dagestan. They weren't just training partners, they were brothers in every sense except blood. Even when Khabib was at his absolute peak, dominating the UFC lightweight division, there was only one guy in the gym who could match him in skill, speed, and grappling intensity, and that was Islam. In fact, according to Makhachev's coach Javier Mendez,
when Islam first started come training, he was the only person that actually gave Khabib any trouble sparring. No one else would give Khabib any trouble sparring. He was the only one. He was the only one that would actually win rounds against Khabib. No one else could ever do that. No one else won a round against Khabib. He was the only one. He was the only one that was able to win a round here and there against Khabib.
Islam was already a beast back then. His problem wasn't skill, it was opportunity. As long as Khabib was active, Islam was in the background. He played second fiddle because the UFC only has room for one dominant Dagestani champion at a time. For years, he stayed in Khabib's shadow. But now, that shadow's gone and Makhachev is shining like the sun. Daniel Cormier, who has trained with both of them. One of their own teammates believes Makhachev is more dangerous because he has better striking. Another insists Islam is the better wrestler, and that's compared to a man widely considered the greatest grappler the lightweight division has ever seen. And then you have fighters like Josh Thompson, who talk about Makhachev's raw strength. Seriously, think about this. How many people in UFC history could choke out Charles Oliveira? Not just submit him, but brutally squeeze the fight out of him. This is the same Oliveira who has more submission wins than anyone else in UFC history. That win at UFC 280 wasn't just a title win. It was a reality check, a slap across the face for every fighter, fan, and analyst who thought Islam was just an overhyped guy enjoying the perks of being Khabib's best friend. If UFC 280 was his coming out party, UFC 284 was his announcement that he's here to stay. Makhachev's first title defense came against Alex Volkanovski, a fighter many were calling the best pound-for-pound athlete in the sport. On paper, Volkanovski had the striking advantage. Many thought if Islam was forced to stand with him, he'd crumble. But what happened? Islam stood there round after round and traded shots with one of the sharpest strikers the UFC has ever seen. Yes, Volkanovski gave him a run for his money. And yes, opinions were split after the fight. Some swore Volkanovski had done enough to win. Others were just as certain Islam was the rightful victor. But the important thing? Islam proved he wasn't just a grappler. He proved he could go toe-to-toe with elite strikers. Fast forward to UFC 294, the rematch. This time, there was no debate, no split opinions. Islam didn't just beat Volkanovski, he destroyed him. A perfectly timed head kick sent Volkanovski crashing to the canvas, unconscious before he even hit the mat. It was one of those moments where the fight world collectively gasped. Even Volkanovski himself admitted he was impressed by Islam's timing and precision. That knockout wasn't just about winning a rematch. It was proof that Islam had elite striking, elite fight IQ, and the ability to adapt after studying his opponent. And yet, there are still people saying he hasn't fought enough big names. Critics love to point out that Islam's resume only features a couple of big names: Oliveira, Volkanovski. The rest, they say, are fighters who weren't truly elite. But that argument might not last much longer, because now Makhachev is stepping into the octagon against a man who has accomplished far more in the sport than most fighters ever dream of Dustin Poirier. When the cage door shuts at UFC 302, Dustin Poirier won't just be fighting for a belt. He'll be fighting for his legacy, and he knows exactly what's standing across from him. Poirier has been keeping a close eye on Makhachev ever since the night Islam shocked him and the world by submitting Charles Oliveira. Poirier has seen the power. He's seen the technique. He's seen how Islam blends his grappling with his improved striking. And he knows this isn't going to be like any fight he's had before. Makhachev, for his part, respects Poirier's career, but make no mistake, he's confident this will be an easy fight. The question is that confidence justified? It's easy to say he's strong or he's skilled, but Makhachev's danger comes from something deeper. He doesn't just have Dagestani wrestling, he has the Dagestani mentality. These fighters aren't just athletes, they're warriors who've been grappling, striking, and grinding since they were kids. They're built in the mountains, forged in endless sparring sessions, conditioned to never quit. And unlike some fighters who stick to what they're good at, Islam has evolved. His striking isn't just serviceable, now it's a legitimate weapon. That's why guys like Daniel Cormier, Javier Mendez, and even his toughest opponents keep saying the same thing: Islam is the total package. Right now, in the UFC lightweight division, it feels like we're in the final boss era. Khabib was the first unbeatable, untouchable, unbreakable. And when he retired, everyone wondered who could possibly take that role. Now, it's Makhachev. He's got the belt. He's got the record. He's got the respect of legends. And after back-to-back dominant performances against top-tier opponents, he's got that aura, the one that makes fighters second-guess themselves before they even step into the cage. If Islam Makhachev walks out of UFC 302 with his belt still around his waist, the conversation changes. We're no longer talking about whether he's legit. We'll be talking about how long it will take before people start calling him the greatest lightweight of all time. Because if he beats Poirier, he will have taken out the best submission artist in UFC history, the best striker in the pound-for-pound rankings, and one of the most experienced and respected lightweights the sport has ever seen. So, what do you think? Will Islam Makhachev continue his reign as the pound-for-pound king? Will Dustin Poirier shock the world and hand him a loss? Or are we witnessing the rise of a champion who might even surpass Khabib's legacy? Drop your thoughts below. And if you're a real Makhachev fan, then join Nina Scoop Army so that you never miss my upcoming videos.